Look who I'm here with.
Hi, everybody.
Who is that?
I know. We haven't seen each other in person in a long time.
I know, it's so weird.
I
We
know.
work with each other
For
twice a week for 4,000 years.
forever and ever and ever. But it's so much fun to be in your apartment.
This is my place.
I know, it's very good.
It's very clean.
And you've been doing such a great job with your show every week. It's so exciting and so much fun.
Go on. As have you, Bill. Your show every Thursday.
Thank you.
It's so great. Billy's place. Oh, look, there's a tote bag right over there.
I have a tote bag. I'm carrying
He's
around
got
my
the
own
swag.
version. So do you.
I know. I have the swag. I enjoy it.
But you know, I was missing singing with you at the Carlisle and at Birdland every week.
Of course you were.
I was. You know, I mean, I have to say.
I know, it's very
me
sad.
to think we're not doing it every week. And so we thought it'd be fun to maybe just get together and sing a number and just give it to you on your show, you know.
That's so nice.
I wanted to remind people that, you know, of what we do, you know, before they forget us as a duo, you know, that's all. What do you think?
What we used to do back in the day.
Back in the day.
And the reason I'm facing this way, we're keeping a nice social distance.
Yeah.
And I'm going to sing that way. He's going to sing that way. So our droplets.
I'm going to spit droplets, but they'll go on your back, so they won't.
Well, if I had a nickel.
Nice. Wow.
Sorry, I don't know what that meant.
I don't either.
But let's just go ahead and sing,
Okay,
don't you
right.
think?
Let's do.
When trumpets were mellow and every gal only had one fellow, no need to remember when, 'cause everything old is new again.
Dancing at your Long Island Jazz Age party, waiter bring us some more Bacardi. We'll order now what they ordered then, when everything old is new again.
Get out your white tie, your tap shoes and tails. Let's go backwards when forward fails.
Movie stars you thought were long dead, now are framed beside your bed.
Don't throw the past away. You might need it some rainy day. Dreams can come true again when everything old is new again. Play it now. Get out your white tie, your tap shoes, your tails. Let's go backwards when forward fails.
Just leave Greta Garbo alone.
Be a movie star on your own and don't throw the past away. You might need it some rainy day. Dreams can come true again
When the skies above are blue again.
when everything on,
When everything on.
when everything on,
Everything on.
when everything on is new again.
That was fun.
So fun.
So fun.
I was doing choreography and you couldn't even see it.
I know. Tappy toes going
Oh,
on the camera. Anyway,
rats.
thanks for having me, Jim.
Thanks for coming to my palatial
It's
apartment.
great to see you. I'll see you in person maybe in another year or so.
That-
This is fun. This is great.
Thanks for playing.
I know. Great.
Billy Stritch.
Bye, everybody. Thanks.
Hi, Beej. How you doing?
Hi, Monica. I'm doing good. It's a little different doing this in the daytime.
It is.
Yeah,
It
I'm
is. We're
holding
going to
my
cheers out of our coffee mugs this morning or
Oh.
this afternoon. So
That is a giant coffee mug.
It looks kind of giant. I think it's the angle, but
Yeah,
it's the size of my head. Coffee mug. It's kind of a dream, actually. I'd like a coffee mug the size of my head. It'd be great. That was Jim Caruso and Billy Stritch, and they are wonderful musicians, entertainers, and friends of ours out of New York. And we met them through our relationship with Birdland Jazz Club and Theater. And that's kind of what today is all about. They have a new pay-per-view series. We're going to let them talk about it, Jim, and we have a couple of other guests with us. But I was thinking about it this week, and the funny story of when we were first allowed the opportunity to play at Birdland. That was in, I think, like 2010 or 11. 10.
It was
10,
and
I was nervous because it was kind of, the caveat was, yeah, Monica, you get to do this, but you got to bring Beegie with you. And I was really nervous to ask you to do it. I don't know why, but I remember saying, hey, so I have this opportunity to play this pretty famous jazz club in New York, and they want to know if I can fill a room of 150, 200 people. And we were eating at a Mexican restaurant with Billy. And you were, mid quesadilla, and you said, well, you can't, but I can.
I can't believe I said that.
You did. And I was like, I don't know why I was afraid to even ask you. You just said, we're doing this. It's my gig with you.
Oh,
so
I wanted to do Birdland forever, like from the 60s.
Yeah.
And it took me this long, but yeah. And I knew you would do fine when we got there. It would be, a quartet instead of a trio with you. So it worked out really well. Johnny liked us, and so he's been very faithful to us to have us back a lot.
Well, and it is easily my favorite place to play.
Oh, mine too. Beautiful room and quiet, and
and the new theater that just opened
run.
a few years ago is just. I actually really love playing in the theater. I think it's just a wonderful, very thoughtfully built and designed space for musicians. So we have a really special place in our heart for Birdland. And, we have made, if you've been watching these shows, it's important to us to support live venues. We have been supporting in every way that we can the National Independent Venue Association. And today we really want to focus on Birdland, and they have a new pay-per-view series, and I think this is a good time. I want to introduce everybody to Jim Caruso. He's going to come on. He's hey Jim.
Hi Monica, BG. This is so fun.
Yes, we are so happy that you could do this with us. Thank you.
I'm delighted to be here
doing this. You're so busy. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but your calendar is full. It's fantastic. I love it. But yeah, it is, we can't say enough wonderful things about Birdland. And of course, we met you and Billy through our time there. And we're as loyal to Birdland as Birdland and the staff and everyone involved there makes us feel like they are to us. And I think that's why it works so well. But there's a new series coming up, and I thought it would be fun to not only have you help everyone understand what's going on, but you actually had a great idea of inviting a few other people who are special guests. So
that was my idea. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Are you kidding?
Yeah.
I love these people.
Tell us who's coming on.
Okay. Matt Baker is a wonderful, really wonderful jazz pianist that has been, he's originally from Australia, but he's been living here in New York for quite a few years. I don't know how many years, but quite a while. He's almost lost his accent. Not really. He thinks he has. But he's a protege of Oscar Peterson, and has been doing wonderful weekly, daily, almost online concerts on Facebook since all of this insanity has hit. And so I'm thrilled he's here. He's going to be doing one of our concerts for the Radio Free Birdland series, which is coming up. And the other guest is the fabulous Natalie Douglas, who I have known for a very, very long time. She was, I host an open mic at Birdland every Monday called Cast Party. And this started like 18 years ago, 17 and a half years ago. She'll correct me because she knows exactly when things start.
And it's the longest running show, right? In New York, is that correct?
I don't know about that, but it's long running. I mean, 17 and a half years is ridiculous. I can't believe it. But she started coming in the very beginning and singing and bringing her fans and her friends and really helped put Cast Party on the map. So she's been a huge part of Birdland. She'll tell you how many shows she's done, but it's like thousands of shows at Birdland. Yeah. So, ladies and germs, here they are, Matt Baker and Natalie Douglas.
Yay!
Now, which is which?
Oh, I'm Natalie. Natalie.
So,
I'm Natalie.
You're Natalie.
Matt for short. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's cute. That's funny. Well, we're so glad you all could join us. And the Radio Free Birdland just started. Well, let me say this. We're filming this in August, so we're going to air it soon. But we've watched Max von Essen, who I publicly claim that I have a big crush on him musically, I think.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I do.
I understand.
What a voice.
I tag him in posts and tell him I have a crush on him. He probably thinks I'm crazy. And he's marvelous. He's just a marvelous singer. Y'all know that, right?
Yeah,
and let's see, Monty Alexander's coming up. Tell us about some of the people who's coming up on the show and how this is gonna work.
It's been a real joy. We've all been sitting at home missing Birdland so much. The staff, the owner, the performers. It's been such a sad time for everybody. But BroadwayWorld.com, a wonderful theater website, called us and offered us the idea of doing a pay-per-view concert series in conjunction with them, putting a spotlight on Broadway stars, jazz legends, cabaret divas, you name it. We have one comic who performed they come on, and it's just them and their piano players. So it's socially very distanced, very safe. Every once in a while, somebody will bring a drummer or somebody else, but we make sure that it's very, very safe. No audience. That's what we all have in common is no audience. Of course, I'm used to that. But most people are not. Most people are not. Thank you. I need a drummer. Thank you. But it's so fun. The jazz performances will be on Tuesday nights at 7 on Broadway World, and the Broadway / cabaret / you name it will be on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. And each show kicks off with it's like a premiere. So everybody's in the chat. That's nice that my phone's ringing. Hold, please.
You've got one.
Very busy. Now that's going to happen, and I don't know how to turn it off. Just throw it across the room. Professional. Everybody's online at the same time. The performer's there in the chat room chatting with everybody. And everybody during the premiere of the show really feels like they're part of something very special. And it's almost like being there.
Yeah. Well, and I love the backstage banter before walking out.
Did you? Oh, good. Good. I love that too. I get to talk with some of my favorite people in the dressing room, and then we walk all the way down the hall together. You see all this. It's very, very exciting. We walk down that dark, creepy hall, and I tell them to break a leg, and I go on stage and introduce them, and they come out and they do a wonderful show for the people.
And
That's
Matt and
great.
Natalie, you've both recorded shows, right? So tell us about your shows. Give people a little heads up.
Well, I've done, as Jim said, something like 80 shows at Birdland in the last
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
17 years. So, I know,
So-
it is. I don't know why or how, but
She
it's
started
awesome.
in 1949.
I was there at the very beginning. Yeah. Welcome, GIs. And
Yeah.
so I've loved that room. It's my New York home. Everybody there I love. All these people, and like you know, the staff is amazing. It's a great club, and the legend, of course, of it. So I was doing this monthly series when this all started, and I really wanted to do something that would kind of be for the people who have been kind enough to keep coming to this monthly thing that I do. So I actually took a poll on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and asked people what they wanted to hear.
Great.
So
That's a good
Brian
idea.
Nash and I put the show together. It was fun, yeah. With a lot of those requests. I mean, you know, we got way too many requests to put in one show because these shows are only like an hour long. No, not at all. No, hopefully we'll do another one. But but it was really fun to, you know, pick from that and then shape a show and put it together. And of course, luckily for me, they're all things I really want to sing anyway. They're all things I really love. So, you know, so that's what we ended up doing. And it was a blast. I mean, I thought it would be weird with no actual audience but you know, before I left that morning when we were getting ready, my husband said, think of it like the audience is there. They're just on the other side of the camera. They're not in the room. They're actually still there. And that really helped. That helped me a lot. And it wasn't weird at all. I mean, it felt great. You know, it felt like heaven to be back on the stage and singing and making music.
And I should say we're in the Birdland Theater, which is our new room that opened 2 years ago on the lower level, which is a nice way of saying it's in the basement. But in fact, as you know, it's a great room with great sound and lights. And it's really like a little TV studio now. Ryan Patternite, who is directing and co-producing with me, has set it up. There are 3 cameras, and the sound is terrific. It's really fun.
It is. It's great quality. It's great quality. And you know, Natalie, you were saying, I remember that one of the first time, actually, I think it was the first time we played there years ago. I remember we were interviewed for something, and Johnny was interviewed for it. And he said, the stage is the star at Birdland. And that is, I say it all the time now. It really struck me. And I feel like with a great team of people, that space is so warm that even without an audience there, you can feel it. I'm getting a little goosebumps just thinking about it, because you walk on that stage and you feel love. The intimidation of the room goes away, melts away. People want you to do well. They want to just relax and let go of the world around them. And I don't know what it's like to have performed like you did there, but I can only imagine that you've been there so many times that you have all of those experiences kind of wrapped up in that moment with you. That's what I would guess.
Everybody has said, like, the first song is kind of weird. Like, at the end of the first song, you do your big, and it's just dead silent. And it's like, oh, that's weird. Because it would be even worse to hear me in the corner doing that. We actually considered that, but we thought, nah. But BG, you know, you've done so much TV that you're not performing for the however many people are in the studio audience. Your audience is right there. So I think Natalie's right. You just it's all for them.
And you hear from them too. If something goes awry, you can't escape it. You know, you'll get a letter saying, "What happened at so and so?"
That's right.
So they come back at you in a good way.
Yeah. And Matt,
Hopefully.
You have one coming up as well, and you have a marvelous singer with you. You want to tell us about that?
Well, I haven't done 80 shows at Birdland. I've probably done about eight to 10 shows in total. And this show is all a Gershwin show. And I already have a Gershwin show that I do with my band, a 6-piece band. It's called A Rhapsody of Gershwin. But this show coming up is just 2 people. It's myself and the wonderful singer Nicole Zuraitis. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to do the Gershwin show still. And she sings in my band in the Gershwin show. So we basically reconstructed the repertoire and chose songs that would work as a duo. Added quite a lot of new ones that weren't in the show before. And sort of tailored a few of the older ones so they would work just as piano and voice. Sure. So the show's coming up, I believe, in October. Jim can correct me if that's different.
Yes.
But yeah, so looking forward to it coming up. It was such a blast to record. I say to people that whatever you get when you perform, like the adrenaline, the sweat, the nerves, all that stuff, I got all that when I recorded this show.
Sure.
It was like doing it for real, except for the fact that there was no audience. But like Jim said, after the first number, you sort of get used to it. You take a virtual bow, or you just nod your head and you talk to your partner again, and you know. So it was a blast. It was a blast doing that.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And you all are in good shape. You all have a lot of different things you're doing right now. Jim, I think you are producing. How many things are you producing?
Well, I produce the cast party that I told you about, that I've done every Monday for a million years. We took to YouTube very early on in this during the pandemic, and it's now called Pajama Cast Party because people are at home, sitting on their couch, and sometimes they're even in their pajamas. Yeah, and it's become so much fun. Every Monday night at 8:00, I talk to, arguably some of the most talented people on the planet for a few minutes, and then they sing for us either with a track, or they accompany themselves, or sometimes just a cappella. Yeah. And it's been such a joy, and it's certainly gotten me through the sadness and the mourning that we all have been going through. Yeah. It's delightful. I mean, if you would have told me that this weird showbiz adjacent side gig would come to mean so much to me, I would never have believed it. Right. But it is absolutely fulfilling and thrilling, and to be able to shine a spotlight on talented people became my thing, my reason. So,
hey, sorry. You're not the only one. Sorry. Sorry. Right at the good part of what you were saying, too. I'm so sorry about that.
No, that's okay. And it's because of people like him and her. That probably didn't work out.
It did.
Like it did on the Brady Bunch. Yeah. See, on the Brady Bunch, they knew how to do that. It's certainly because of people like Natalie and Matt that have come in constantly and shared their talent with our audience, and me and Billy Stritch at the piano and our wonderful band every week. That's why it's still a thing. Because if it were just me standing up there, not sure that would have been a thing.
And I think part of the reason it's still a thing is, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No, why?
I think part of the reason it's still a thing is because there's so many ways in which it's great. Like, I mean, you're always really funny, and Billy, of course, is, a genius. And everybody who comes in, you have people who come in, like, just got off the bus and have a piece of sheet music, and this is the first time they're ever singing in New York, and they couldn't be more excited and nervous, and they're like, 15 years old. And then you have, Cheetah Rivera popping by. And, I mean, you just never know, like, what it's going to be. And it's always cool. And then, I remember when Matt started taking pictures, because, he's a photographer too. Like, when he started taking photos, and he was taking photos around at Birdland, you know, he'd be running around the room taking photos of all these great things happening on the stage, and then put his camera down and run up and play something brilliant. Like, it's just it's this grab bag variety show, you know, and then the people are really good, you know, and on the rare occasions when somebody isn't really good, often they have like a lot of heart, you know. I mean, you know how you get excited when somebody's living a dream, even if you know what I'm saying.
It's true. I mean, I always think of it as everybody up there, from Ariana Grande, who has sung, to the lady from Comac, Long Island, that wrote a song about her feet. Not even kidding. Everybody is putting themselves on the line in a funny kind of way, and giving us showing us what they do. And it's very touching to me, whether it's somebody brilliant or somebody not so brilliant. And it does happen.
Yeah.
True.
And Natalie and I talk about it all the time. Those people.
Everybody has those people in their life if they're a musician.
Absolutely. I mean, we have to kind of, and the funny thing is, after the show, I'll go talk to the audience and they'll be like, the lady with the 6 toes that sang about her feet, she was hilarious. I just had Donny Osmond and Carol Channing singing. Anything? Natalie Cole? Anybody?
Yeah. No. 6-toed lady.
Oh, that's funny.
It takes all kinds.
What, Matt?
Yeah, there's something for everybody out there.
Evidently.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's one of the nice things about Cast Party is that it's very democratic, small d, where the good people get applause, the not so good people get applause. There's no booing. There's
no shaming.
I've never seen booing.
Good.
I've never seen shaming. Now, when we go to the diner afterwards, the gloves come off.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
But that's part of why we go to the diner every single week.
Yeah.
For 18 years.
My bass player has a story. Well, he's got a lot of stories, but Roger Spencer. But we talk about when we used to play for little clubs, or maybe even just a Sunday afternoon thing where people were free to come up and say, my girlfriend wants to sing a song.
Oh, yeah.
And we would do it. But his favorite one was, one day he was playing in a little band like that on a Sunday. And this guy came up with his girlfriend, and she was very little, petite, and very kind of Barbie dollish, and just was really excited about it. And he said, my girlfriend wants to sing a song. And so they said, okay. And she came up on the bandstand, and Roger and the piano player asked her, what key? And she looked at them both like a deer in the headlights. And she finally went,
Okay.
It's like,
well, that helped.
And it was awful. She started out and she changed key about 4 times.
Oh, the best. The best.
Brother. Yeah. And
Matt
Roger really enjoys that stuff.
Matt has actually played piano for Cast Party. I hope I'm pointing in the right direction.
You're doing good.
Oh,
you're doing okay.
He's been the accompanist for Cast Party quite a few times, so perhaps he has something to say about that.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow, it's a blast. It's I remember the first time that I ever did it was the biggest one that I'd ever done. There was 35 singers. Because
oh my
you
God!
told me the next day, you said, "Are you okay?"
Because I'm not.
Yeah, and it was no break. It was nonstop, and it's.
What was I thinking?
Oh, I don't know, but it was a really big night. But the great thing is that it's nonstop, and the adrenaline is firing. And I'll go back one step. A singer walks on stage, as we all know, gives you the music and says, I want to do all these different things that you can't see on the chart, that don't make sense, that you think, how are you going to do that? That's in a male key, blah, 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 blah. and they get up there and they start and you start and it becomes a big cacophony, and then you finally get to the end of the song and it's all working out beautifully, and you do the big arpeggio, and it, endings make a song, and the song ends beautifully, and you just feel like I've got this, and then it starts all over again because
yeah.
comes up. So it's just this continual race to the end. I love it. Anytime that I play Cast Party, I love it.
That's cool.
Well, Billy says it's like working out. He said because you're playing jazz, you're playing country, you're playing Broadway, you're playing Sondheim, you're playing Jason Robert Brown, you're playing, marches, Sousa. You just never know.
They sight read, but they also play stuff without a stick of music. Because somebody just walks up and calls something. So it's like it's work in every part of your brain.
It's a miracle. I mean, BG, it's a miracle that musically it can hold together for 2.5 or 3 hours, and people don't want to shoot themselves in the head. And as I always say, if somebody's not good, in 2 minutes they're going to be gone, and somebody hopefully fantastic will be there. It's not like you're stuck, listening to some terrible singer for 2 hours or anything.
Right. Well, it's
that's my act.
That's
one of my first. I'm sorry, I interrupted somebody.
No.
One of my first gigs when I went to Nashville, I was doing some radio work. They had a lot of live shows, like a noon show, magazine show, and early morning show with band and all this stuff. But I got a bunch of us that just came there that year. Charlie McCoy, the wonderful harmonica player, and some of those guys. We all kind of came at the same year, 61, 62. And we all wound up downtown over Tootsie's Orchid Lounge in an old apartment building. There was a guy that lived up there that had a kind of a studio, very primitive kind of studio. But he ran a mail service for would-be songwriters, and they could send their lyrics in. No melody. It was just on notebook paper or typed or whatever. And he paid us $3 a song. And some of the guys, including myself, would write a melody to this existing lyric. And then he would do a package of like 6 tapes or something, and just give them something back for their money. And they were paying quite a bit of money for this, like $50 or something. And so we would work all day, and most of the things would be like 1, 6, 2, 5, 1 kind of country things, or just a lot of it was like old, like Irish songs, things your mother would sing, things like that. And we would do like 50 or 60 songs a day at $3 a song. And I paid the rent with that for about a year and a half. And some of them were just unbelievable because the lyrics were just all over the map. And some of them were very intimate, and we were like, we can't do anything with that.
Creepy.
We all laughed later on because everybody became studio musicians full time. And but we used to have so much fun because we laughed the whole day, and then we got paid for it in cash.
Well, that's exactly
so that's how
I think what Cast Party is, and it's really how it started. I threw a party and everybody showed up. I never went into business thinking I was going to host open mic nights. That's not even a thing. So it's absolutely, we were just having fun and making fun of each other.
Yeah. That's great. So, I know, Jim, you're doing Pajama Party. You, what else are you doing? I know you're involved in some other things too, right?
I'm a mogul. Can we just say that I'm now? I just had this vision one day. Actually, I was in the shower. I hope that doesn't ruin anybody's lunch. I thought my YouTube channel should be a network of all the people I know and love, obviously they have their own YouTube channels and stuff. That wouldn't change. But I want to be like an umbrella for so many friends of mine. So we're just touching on that now. But I started to produce a talk show for my friend Julie Halston, who's a Broadway actress and comedian.
She's hilarious.
Oh, she's hilarious. She's been ranting and raving and whining on stages for years. And I booked her at Birdland many times.
That's funny.
So we put a show together called Virtual Halston, where she and I chat for a little bit, but then she has a celebrity guest. And this next week, it's Michael Urie and Mercedes Rule, who played opposite each other.
Love them both. That's great.
Oh, it's going to be great. Last week was Andrew Rannells. Broadway stars, TV stars, doesn't matter. She can talk to anybody. She is hilarious. Wow. And so that's been a real joy. It's every Friday at 5:00. She sits there with her glass of wine. I sit there with my Coca-Cola or my iced coffee. And we just have a blast.
Aw.
It's a great show.
Well, I
have really enjoyed it.
Well, I've watched I've caught a handful of them and I've always enjoyed it. I haven't met Julie. One night we were there and to hear one of the Broadway shows on Monday nights, and she was there and she wasn't heckling, but when she liked something, she made sure everyone in the room knew. And in fact, at one point, you're like, "Julie's here, Julie." So glad it was adorable. It was adorable.
You're right. She doesn't really heckle, but she makes her presence known.
Yeah.
I remember a friend of ours was being very grand on stage. Natalie will know who this is. But she was saying, many people ask me how I pick my material. And Julie had a glass of wine and said, Who asks you that? Nobody asks you that. This was 20 years ago. It still makes me laugh. Who?
So what other streaming things are you all doing right now? This is... everyone's getting so creative with their time. I mean, this, for instance, this was kind of done on a whim, and it still looks like it's done on a whim. Sorry, everybody, but it is what it is.
No, it's fun.
Well,
it's fun.
If I have to think too hard about this, if this really becomes work for me, I'm stopping. I'm not doing it anymore. When it's not fun. So this is fun.
You're very smart. So. You're very smart.
But I know, Jim, you're doing several shows. Matt, you've got a show, and we've talked about a little bit. I'd love to hear more. And Natalie, I'd love to hear what y'all are doing to pass the time, to keep your fans engaged and keep your chops up.
Well, I'm doing a couple of different things. I started to stream online on the 20th of March. And since the 20th of March, I've done 54 shows.
Wow. Holy cow.
All that stuff. So 3 times a week, I jump on I was going to say on the computer, but I don't really jump on the computer. I've got a beautiful camera set up, beautiful lighting, my piano, kind of a black backdrop. So it's kind of like a cave, actually. And I stream live to Facebook 3 times a week. Different shows, I want to say, each time. Wednesday nights are like a theme. So like last week, I did Stevie Wonder. The week before, Frank Lesser. Saturday nights are like dinner music because most people are having their dinner at that time, and Sundays is just a fun day. So I do that. I've started to do masterclasses online. So like this week, I have 2 masterclasses on 2 of the days that I'm not streaming. So yeah, it's almost taking up every night, which is, I was saying to somebody yesterday, like I'm a new type of working musician because all of this stuff I wasn't doing 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And I just have to accept that this is what I do now. This is me going out and doing a gig, So that's what I'm up to in the nights. Yeah.
But say what the name of your show is.
Oh, my show has a new name. It's called The Matt Cave.
The Matt Cave?
As opposed to the Bat Cave.
Love it.
Oh, the Matt Cave.
The Matt Cave.
That's good.
Awesome.
Well, and we will make sure.
And the logo is great.
The logo, yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah, Todd Johnson did an amazing job.
We will get all the information so people can plug in and join you. We'll make sure it's in the description. So we need to find that logo so we can drop it in here and everyone can see the logo.
I will send it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we got logos. We got. Sometimes that's the first thing I do when I get an idea for a project. I call our friend Todd, who does all the work at Birdland and all of my stuff, and I say, I need a logo. And it somehow crystallizes the thing for me so that I can start to think about it in a clearer with a vision.
That's neat.
And
Cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Natalie, what are you up to? What's going on?
I've actually mostly been doing the masterclass thing. I'm a master teacher for the Maple Mercer Foundation and also for the Eugene O'Neill this summer. So it was the first time they ever did the Eugene O'Neill Cabaret Conference in a digital way, which we were, like, nobody really knew how that was going to work and what that was going to be like. And it, of course, went from 11, 12 days to 5 days. But it actually worked out great, and it was really cool. I mean, the only thing that we missed was that the fellows, the students didn't get a chance to work with the music directors live. You know, they could talk to them and talk through an arrangement, and then the MDs could go away and record it and shoot it to them, and then they could sing with the track of this, you know, newly recorded arrangement. But of course, that didn't allow us to change midstream and decide, oh, wait a minute, you know what, I think you need to start that slower. And, you know, we couldn't do those kind of changes, but we could really do great work. And Betty Buckley came and was a guest teacher for a day. And she was wonderful with the kids. I mean, it was really cool. I had a really good time. Barb Younger and I and John McDaniel is the artistic director. It was just a blast. So that was so cool. 5 days. The last 6 months. And I've done, like, you know, little things here and there, done benefits. I almost always do something for the LA Forney Center because it's one of my charities that means a lot to me, and the NAACP, you know, but I actually have been doing a lot of writing, and I don't know if it's ever going to be anything, but you know, we were talking a little bit, Monica, about my adoption story, and it's such
a great story.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a big sort of, and it's kind of, you know, cinematic. So I've been writing about that, and and that's, and you know, my husband keeps wanting me to do a talk show because obviously I can talk.
You should definitely do a talk show. I second this. I second this.
Here's what I've learned about talk shows, Natalie, just from producing them. Just because you're a good talker, to be a talk show host, you don't talk, you listen.
Oh, no.
Which I haven't done. I haven't listened to anybody else since like 1984. So it's interesting.
Day.
Yeah, remember that day? I listened to you, I think, once. But it's so fun and it's so fulfilling when it somehow works out. I think you'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
Well, actually, I mean, I would love the talk show host experience because I do actually love talking to people and finding out their story and this.
Well, you're curious.
But, yeah, insatiably. But my husband is usually talking about me. You know how I can sort of talk on almost any subject because I've done a vast amount of weird research. He thinks I should do something with that. Like I should have a topic of the day, you know, and here's what Natalie has found out about 1930s Wisconsin. And like, you know, just dump all the stuff that I, for some reason, looked up one time. Because I do stuff like that.
Natalie, what if it's just literally you talking? Forget the guests.
Yeah.
Where you pick a topic. And almost like the way you do your Birdland concerts, like this week it's Judy Garland, next week it's Dolly Parton, where you just choose your own topic, whatever you want to talk about, and just look right at the camera and chat.
It could be fun.
Is that a thing? Anybody?
Yeah, maybe. don't know.
Yeah,
We'll find
I
out.
think that's a good idea.
You know what? It's like you talk about the logos. You start with something and then you let it kind of grow from there.
Mhm.
So,
That's right.
you know, that may be
Well, I've
one
certainly-
week, that may be perfect. The next week, you may have 5 guests on. So,
I've been inspired. I have.
Good.
Watching, like, you guys, BG and Monica, and Cast Party, of course, and Matt, and, like, all my friends who are doing this, you know, Billy Place on Thursdays, and Billy and Linda
Oh, yeah.
together. You know, Mark Hartman's doing a daily thing, and Brian Nash doing a weekly thing. Like, so many of my friends have been doing this, and it's been really
Yeah.
fun.
Janice
watching them.
Siegel. Don't forget Janice Siegel.
Oh, yeah,
my God.
right.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
well, you
So-
were actually just, that was another question I was going to ask is who are you watching? Like, what are things you recommend for other people? Because, you know, that's the other part of this is the sanity when you're not working, when you're sitting idle. How are you entertaining yourselves, you know, by watching things or getting out? What keeps you sane through all this?
Wow, that's a great question.
Yeah.
Every day I try to keep myself sane. But yeah, I mean, I watch on Monday nights. I flick back and forth between Jim's Pajama Cast Party and Emmett Cohen. He's
How dare
Yeah.
you?
a bit early.
You're in trouble, Matt.
Emmett Cohen, that hack.
that jazz pianist.
He's
He's
a
on
genius.
Jim, and then Jim's on at 8:00. And there's Billy's Place, of course, on a Thursday night, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we see that.
But yeah, I mean, honestly, the great thing is that you can do them on replay. So if I do watch all of Jim Caruso's, Cast Party, I might,
Which you would.
yes, I might just put Emma Cohen on later on while I'm having dinner or something like that, and
Sure.
replay it. But yeah, that's about my extent of watching because I'm usually working the other nights.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I mean, that's the other part of staying sane is actually working, you know,
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
That's right.
staying stimulated. That's the one we were talking about that the other night. It's like quizzing ourselves on songs, like pick a song and just go, make sure the lyrics are still fresh, make sure the melody's
wow.
still fresh, you know, just,
Yeah.
you know, BG playing. And she always amazes me. You can barely stump her with a tune ever. So it's fun. And then I try to keep up with her and figure out, okay, where, you know, what can I contribute to this? So
It's interesting, isn't it? How we've all just figured out how to do this.
it
And
really,
in the very beginning, I remember calling Billy almost tearful and saying, because they were saying, oh, it would be like a month or a month and a half, we'd all be out of work. And I was like, how are we going to not work for a month? How am I going to? Well, you know what? We figured it out, didn't we?
We did it. Yeah.
It
No
helps to be
stinking
creative in
virus.
yeah,
Yes,
it helps to be
yes.
creative in this. It's a slippery slope. I think as a creative, I'm more sensitive, and this all I think hits me or hits people like us harder than maybe some people. I know I take it more seriously than I wish other people would take it sometimes more seriously. I think
I mean,
part of
I
that
take
is-
it seriously, but
Yeah.
I was like, after the first 2 or 3 weeks, I was like, okay,
yeah,
here we
you gotta-
go. What are we
gotta
going to
figure
do?
this out. You gotta
Gotta
get creative.
move.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Well, and you guys, I always, that's the one thing I love about New York. It's, I know there's a better expression, but the hustle of it, you know, when we first started playing Birdland, it was always during a blizzard in January. It never failed. I think they put us in the spot the week that nobody else wanted because they knew that it was going to be harder to get people there. So it wasn't as big of a loss for them, maybe, but
Nice.
we were like,
Nice.
crap, we're going. And I would sit in like a deli at a deli counter and look out the window, and people were, you know, snow blowing sideways, and they're still walking. They're still doing
please.
their thing.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
No.
Here? Are you kidding? I've got to get in the car and I've got to cancel shit. I'm not going out on that. Anyway, no.
New York is
Yeah.
made of strong stuff.
Yeah, it
We
is.
know
You
how
are.
to do
You very
this.
much
I mean, we
Yeah.
really do know how to do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
Well, and part of it is you have to. I mean, in New York City,
exactly.
you have to have about 74 jobs in order to afford your apartment. So,
Exactly.
you know, it may be snowing outside. There may be a flood. It may be the apocalypse, but I've still got shit to do.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
you know, you get
Yeah.
it done.
That is true.
I will say it was, I think initially in lockdown, there was the same sort of attitude. Like the streets were empty. I mean, people approached lockdown here in much the same way. We are serious about it and we're going to stay home. And I know I didn't leave my house. My husband was the one who ventured out to the grocery store because at one point the CDC was saying, only one person in a household should be exposing themselves. So he would go out, and I didn't leave my house at one point for like 5 weeks, but I'd go and like walk up and down the stairs to, keep moving, have some movement, do some exercise. And I watched a lot of television because I am a Doctor Who fan. And I mean, when I say television, I actually mean like Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, I did a lot of that too. I feel like my musical world gets broadened when I pay attention to other parts of the world too. Yeah. So, I watch a lot of documentaries and I watch a lot of weird TV shows that amuse me, and it usually sparks ideas.
I just watched a great series on Netflix called Unorthodox.
Oh yeah, isn't it wonderful? Yes, I loved it.
First of all, I know nothing about the Orthodox Jewish community in Brooklyn. Nothing. Zero. So that was great to learn something about that. But the acting was unbelievable. I'm in love with all of those actors. I highly recommend it.
Oh, we'll have to check it out, Beach. We'll watch it.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's in Yiddish.
Really?
Like chunks of it, yeah.
So it's in subtitles?
Subtitles,
Right.
It's gorgeous.
Okay, now we can say what we really want to say about Jim. He's here. Darn it. Well, I want to circle back to the new show, the new Radio Free Birdland. So now you're going to hear Matt with a fabulous singer, Nicole Zuraitis, as well as Natalie Douglas doing a wonderful tune. Matt is doing Gershwin material. This is The Man I Love. And Natalie is going to do I Wish I Knew How It'd Feel to Be Free.
We'll build a little home just meant for two, from which we'll never roam. Who would you? And so all else above, I'm waiting for the man I lay it out. Maybe I could meet him Monday, maybe Tuesday, maybe not. Still, I'm sure to meet him one day, maybe Tuesday will be my good news day. We'll build a little home just meant for two, from which we'll never roam. Would you? And so all else above, I'm waiting for the man starting anew. I wish I could fly like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if I found out I could fly. I'd soar to the sun and look down at the sea, and I'd sing 'cause I know, yeah, I would sing 'cause I know, yeah, yeah, I would sing 'cause I know how it feels to be
Hey, you guys sound so good. Oh, this show is. I love everything about this show. One, it makes me feel connected to the room and the space that we love so much, and to get to hear such talented musicians, and it talk about things that keep you sane. You all, thank you. You created a little sanity with those clips, so thank you so much. And obviously, we want everyone to tune in, and we'll make sure all that information's available. But thank you for sharing your talents with all of us. So
Thank you.
we have a little Q&A from fans, and all over the map. My only rule with fans is they can't ask anything political or too personal. You know, there's always that one person that takes it too far. So we gotta.
Those are the ones I want to read.
Well, you can answer them, and yeah, there's. Let's see here.
The private chat.
Okay. All right. No, I'm cheating. Hold on. I'm just mixing them up. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. This is for anyone who wants to answer it. What is the one thing you want everyone to know about Birdland? I thought that was a really fun question. If there's one thing you want people, I guess maybe someone who hasn't been there, let's say.
Why don't I start, since I represent? But then I think you should get one from each, because they both are such regulars. Sure. Birdland has been around since 1949. It has the luxury of worldwide recognition, name recognition, but that certainly does not keep a room open for so long. Birdland has the location right in the middle of the theater district. Great lights, great sound, great food, great service. It's a dream venue. And I feel very lucky that I walked in there 18 years ago and Johnny Valenti gave me a job.
That's great.
The end.
That's a great thing. Great thing. What about you, Natalie? What do you want people to know about Birdland?
Well, everything Jim said is absolutely true. Sorry, that way. But also, he should know. Everyone should know that the people who work at Birdland are amazing. I mean, they are kind. They are good at their jobs, you know, and every single part of the club, lighting, sound, the office, the front desk, the bar, the kitchen, you know, everybody who works there. And I am there, before this all started, almost every day of the week. You know, everyone there is truly kind, truly helpful, and they watch out for each other. They watch out for us. They watch out for the customers too. You know, it's like
that's true.
Fabulous. When we use the word club in the sense, you know, like nightclub, but it's also a club in the sense that, like, once you're inside the doors, you're treated like family.
Yeah,
unless there's a reason not to. You know, if you mess up too badly, and by that I mean, you know, you're out of control in some way, then they'll escort you out because they're protecting the rest of the family. But like once you walk through those doors, it's just, and I just really appreciate and treasure all those people. You know, I love them dearly, and they're so good to me.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Very cool. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, that's beautiful. I mean, I want to say that Birdland is not just a jazz club. Birdland, uniquely, it's a community, and it's home. Yeah. And the first time that I met Gianni Valenti when I was in New York as a tourist, back in 1998, he shook my hand as kindly as he shakes my hand these days.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
No,
That's nice.
yeah.
That's
He
nice.
does love he loves talent. And
Yeah.
but he also loves, he calls them his guests, the people that pay the cover.
Yeah.
And he knows names. He's much better at that than I. But he really, those people mean the world to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really true.
We all love Gianni.
Yeah.
He's a special guy. He's very special. And
Truly.
he, in one way or the other, he gave us all our opportunities. So this is a big shout out to him as well. So, I Natalie, you kind of hit on it, and I've yet to be emotional on a happy hour. But you almost made me emotional talking about the staff and everyone. And Jim, you said as well, from the minute we walk in, everybody is so kind, and they make you feel like truly tonight is about you. How can we make your night here or your run here as special and as successful as you want it to be? What role do we, it's in the small little gestures to the major things, the sound crew, just everyone is so good at what they do, like you said, and so kind. So they're a good team. They're all a very good team. So,
well, that comes from the top. As Johnny and I fight like an old married couple, but in the end, he really loves the people that work there, the people that are his guests, and the talent. And I think that if he didn't, it could be more hit or miss with the staff. But I think it's very important to him.
And it's a testament that. Go ahead. All you, Natalie. All you.
I was just going to say, I don't know a lot of rooms, or I haven't seen in a lot of rooms, the kind of enthusiasm that the wait staff has for various performers. Like, sometimes when I come in on a night to see somebody, they'll tell me about, the headliner that's running upstairs. Like I'll come to see something downstairs, and they'll say, "Oh, this week you have to see whomever's upstairs." BG and Monica upstairs, like because they're excited about it because they've enjoyed waiting tables up there whilst watching whatever show, and that doesn't happen in a lot of rooms.
Yeah,
that's also the best PR any club has is the staff. You can spend a fortune on public relations, but if the staff is like kind of blasé. You're missing a really big bet.
That's a marvelous observation. You're absolutely right.
Early on when we started playing there, my trio's been playing in clubs all over we could write a book, I guess, about who's well behaved and who isn't, in the club industry.
Oh, please do.
I would love that book.
Anyway, but the first night we opened there, it was full. We sold out, and people were eating. They were serving dinner. They were having drinks and everything. Not a sound.
Mm-hmm.
They're just. It's like they're just going around to the table and laying the fork down for you on a napkin, so it won't rattle and all that. So I spoke to Johnny about it, and I said, "I really love the way you handle the lack of sound here." And I saw him one time when two kids, young couple, were kind of arguing or something, and it kind of carried for a minute. And Johnny just went over to the table, and he went. He didn't say anything, and they went, and they climbed up. And it was fine. Anyway, so I was telling them about working at Jazz Alley, and which is also a very nice club in Seattle. And they had a little sign on their tables that said, "Please do not order blender drinks while the music is going," which is a good thing to have.
Yeah.
And he said, "We'll do better than that. We don't have blenders."
Thank you. Yeah.
Exactly.
I've never seen a blender at
And so
Birdland.
I fell in love completely with the room at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, blender drinks, really? People,
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
how old are we?
I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's-
I have a question for Matt.
Yeah.
Matt, somebody wants to know what's your favorite memory with Oscar Peterson.
Oh wow, that's a wonderful question. Well, I have two answers to this question. So I'm just trying to think. I have so many beautiful memories with him, but I'm gonna say like so. I just the people who watching know the context of that question. In 2002, Oscar was playing a week at the Blue Note Jazz Club in New York City, and I was still living in Australia. And I wanted to see Oscar. He was my favorite pianist, and so I thought if I don't come to New York and see him play, I may never do that because he is quite old. So I flew to New York, and I booked every show. I reserved every show at the Blue Note.
Oh, wow.
And I saw him play 7 nights straight, 2 shows a night. And we became friendly and all that stuff, and we exchanged email addresses and kept in touch. Had a lot of photos together. He signed every single CD and an LP of mine that I had. I bought them all across Australia.
Oh,
We had an amazing week together, which I might talk about in another question if it comes up again. But one of the most beautiful moment that I had was actually a couple of years later with Oscar. And because he was so kind to me in that week at the Blue Note, I promised Oscar that I would write a song for him because he had a daughter who had just died in that week that I saw him. And I said, Oscar, I'm going to write a song for you. And of course, you go back to your home country and life goes on and you never do those things that you promised. But I was at Switzerland, in Switzerland 3 years later at the Montreux Jazz Festival. I was playing there and Oscar was playing there as well. And I walked into a cafe one day, and there he was sitting there at the cafe in a wheelchair with his family eating. And the reason I went to that cafe was because I was going on a date with a girl who didn't speak English. And I had to try and tell this girl in my broken French to just wait there, I'll be back. But I've got to go and say hi to this gentleman who's sitting in the cafe. That's a funny story on its own. But I went over to Oscar and I said, Oscar, hi. And because we had emailed each other, so it wasn't like it was 3 years that had gone by. But I kind of knelt down next to the wheelchair and said, how are you? And we had a few words. And I thought, if I'm ever going to write this song for Oscar, I've got to do it now and give it to him. So I went up into the concert hall of the Montreux Palace where there were some pianos, and I just started to play and I recorded it. And then I got some paper from the hotel's front desk and I drew staff lines and I wrote out this song that I just composed right then. Oscar had invited me to the concert that night backstage. And so after that concert, I went up to him, knelt down at his wheelchair and gave him the song finally that I wrote for him. And that was my most beautiful moment.
Oh, what a special memory.
That's great.
Oh, treasure that forever.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what an important person to look up to and to know as well. And I talk a lot about legacy. I think legacy is very important. And the more stories that you can share, and not that he needs a ton of help keeping his legacy alive, but someday, as generations, unfold, your stories are going to keep his legacy alive. So that's very cool. That's very cool. I'm glad you had that time with him. That's neat.
I wanted to.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No,
I wanted to ask Matt about Mike Longo. Did you come across him in New York when you came?
Yeah, I never met Mike, and I know he passed away recently, but I never met Mike, and I tried to know him, unfortunately.
Well, he and I were classmates at Western Kentucky University, and he came from Fort Lauderdale, and the way he got to Western was Cannonball had been at Fort Knox during the Korean War, stationed there. And there was a composer on staff at Western, which was about 90 miles from Fort Knox. And so Cannonball would drive down there on Saturday mornings and take a lesson with him. So when he went back home after the Army, Mike was getting out of high school. Mike's father was Cannonball's bass player at that time. And so he said, look, kid, if you're going to go to college, I found this little college in Kentucky that's really good, has a great music department, which it did. And he said, it's cheap because it's a state school and the weather's kind of okay and good teachers and everything. And so Mike showed up on registration day at the music department, and we all had to have one of the people coming in that we could guide around. We called them little brothers and little sisters. And I was a sophomore and he was a freshman. And so we became best friends, and I learned a lot of stuff from him.
I bet.
And when we graduated, I went to Nashville because there was a lot of, it's a musical town and you can make a living. And he went straight to New York. And within 6 months, he had met Oscar. So he lived in Toronto for 6 months or so and studied with him. And he said all through his life that Oscar was the one that he knew how to play. He'd been playing since he was 8 or something. And he was playing in bands. But he said after Oscar gave him all the strength to go in another direction, that was when he started to swing hard and wanted to play bebop for the rest of his life. And they stayed in touch until both of them were gone. So,
beautiful.
That's really cool.
Well, cheers to Oscar and cheers to Mike.
Yeah, man.
Yes. Absolutely.
To our legends.
Yes.
Yes.
Here's another legend question. It is completely off the subject, but it is fantastic. I think everyone on this broadcast is going to enjoy hearing the answer. BG, somebody wants to know if you've ever worked with Dolly Parton.
yes, lots of times, actually. Well, she was always on the list of those they brought big shows here in the 80s when Opryland built a new concert hall with all kinds of stuff in it. And we did a lot of things like the Kraft Music Hall or the Timex Hour out of New York. They would bring a director, maybe a conductor, in, and 3 or 4 people, some local and some from there, singers and musicians. And we had a big orchestra then, a 35-piece orchestra that played for the Johnny Cash show for 3 years. I was the rehearsal pianist and the orchestra pianist. So I had to work all the time. But it was great. I got to play with Peggy Lee. I got to play with Tony Bennett. And then they did some specials. One of them was Carol Burnett and Dolly Parton come to Opryland.
I remember that.
And so I got to hang out with Carol Burnett for 2 weeks. And we all used to have lunch together with the dancers and everything. And they would be filming outdoors the dance sequences with Carl Jablonski's dancers, 10 of them. And they would put me on a pickup truck with a spinet and drive me around the park. So I had to accompany them on the rehearsals outside, regardless of what the weather was. So Dolly was on that, and she and Carol Burnett were 2 peas in a pod. They just instantly bonded, and Dolly's very, very smart. And so, yes, I've known her for a long time. I played on some television shows with her. And she's just like what you think she is. She's absolutely transparent. And if she knows you, she'll walk right up to you and say, "Hi, BG, how have you been?" She has got a brain like nobody else. Yeah. So, yeah, she's fun.
There's a great article about her that's on the cover of Natalie. What's it on the cover?
I don't know.
Is it Rolling Stone? It's one of those. It's a big music magazine about how she's had to pivot during this pandemic because her theme park, her movies, her everything that she's involved in, her concerts obviously have shut down, and she has hundreds of people working for her. So it's a fascinating article about how she's pivoted during this, and she's just wildly intelligent, obviously.
Oh yeah, she's a businesswoman.
Yeah.
Just there was an article in our Sunday paper here referencing the suffrage movement. It was the anniversary that we got Tennessee shoved it over into where women could vote, and so every year they have these columns of women who really do things in the state. And I read it this morning. she's won these places on the front page before, and she's right there again. For everything from her business management to what she does for children. She has a book series that goes all over the world.
Yeah,
she's given away something.
Yes,
she's given away like over 1 million books.
Oh yeah.
Because to encourage children to read. Yeah, I did a Dolly tribute show 5 years ago, and I love doing the research on her because
she's great.
She's just fascinating. She's really a fascinating person, and there are lots of really good Dolly stories because she's so funny too.
Yeah.
Oh, she is.
Yeah,
she's very, very funny.
Very witty.
She always said it takes a lot of money to look this cheap. She dresses.
I mean, it's one of the best lines in show business.
I know.
And somebody asking her, how long does it take to do your hair? And she said, well, I don't know. I'm never there.
Yeah, she has a lot of wigs and she talks about them. She's also fun to work with.
Great.
I mean, she's a wonderful singer. She's got ears for days. And she can go on stage. We used to do this little daily television show, and sometimes somebody wouldn't show up or got sick or something. And Ralph Emery, the host, knew all these people because he used to be a very famous disc jockey. So he would just call up a couple of friends and say, can you do my afternoon show today? And Dolly would come on a lot for things like that with no rehearsal. And so she would just walk over to the band and say, give me a G, and we're going to go like this. And she would count it off and everything would be perfect.
Did she play her nails?
Yeah.
I love when she does that. Love. A friend of mine was in the Broadway musical 9 to 5, which of course Dolly wrote the music for the songs. And when Stephanie first met Dolly at her final callback, Stephanie called me afterwards and she was like, I can't believe what just happened to me. I was singing and the door opened and this little tiny person in pink patent leather pedal pushers and a bolero coat and all this hair. And she said, I kept singing and she came up to me afterwards and hugged me. And she said, it was like hugging the Easter bunny.
Oh,
Love.
That's great.
Oh,
I hope she's watching. Maybe she's watching.
maybe watch it.
It would be fun.
Hey, Dolly. Yeah, everybody wave at Dolly.
We love you.
Yes.
Always. We will always love you.
Oh,
But
actually,
welcome.
Natalie, I have a
Yes?
Good job there, bud. Okay, one of the questions for Natalie was, what is your favorite theme that you've put together for one of your shows? Who is your favorite person to?
Well, there's kind of two answers. One is whichever show I'm working on right now, because I always get really excited about the new shows. You know, like when I begin to do the research, Joni Mitchell, Linda Ronstadt, Sammy Davis Jr., Nat King Cole. Like I love doing all the research. I love reading the bios and finding the stories that are a little bit off the beaten path. You know, because I don't want to just read the Wikipedia page to you. I feel like that's so that it's always the thing I'm working on right now. But if I have to choose one out of all of them, it's got to be Nina Simone. You know, I'm a Nina freak. I love everything about her. The music is impeccable, and the choices are so artistically sound. Even when musically they're like between the notes, you know. I just and I think there's so much a part of her playing and her singing and the way she grew up, person that she was, and her activism, like it's all as much just part of the performance as anything else. So, like you can't take one away and have the same performance. And I fell in love with her when I was a kid, and there are a couple of those songs, the Matt Adderley and Oscar Brown too, that I never get tired of singing. So it's got to be.
Yeah. That's great. That's cool. Very cool. All right. Let me find. Okay, Jim, your favorite tour that you've ever been a part of. Somebody wants to know what is your favorite tour that you've been a part of? Sorry, I didn't ask this question.
There haven't been that many tours. I did a national tour of The Student Prince. That was not my favorite tour. That was hellish. And then, Billy and I travel the country and maybe even the world doing cast parties. So that's always a joy. But I toured for over 3 years with a show that became Liza's at the Palace, starring Liza Minnelli, strangely. And singing the songs and arrangements of Kay Thompson, who I knew and who I was obsessed with long before I knew her. E.G., you know her.
She was in the Audrey Hepburn movie with Fred.
Funny Face.
Fred Astaire.
Funny Face.
She stole the show. Yeah.
She did. There was nobody like her. So to go on the road with Liza's band, which is one of the best bands in the world, 3 of my best friends in the show, including Billy, who was at the piano, singing Kay with Liza Minnelli. It was, and we traveled all over the universe because she's famous everywhere. She's famous. We were in Finland and Mexico and all over Europe and all over South America and like crazy places you'd never think you'll go. We were. So that was, and it ended up winning a Tony when it came to to Broadway. So that would, bar none, was my favorite tour.
That's cool. That's very cool. I like it how somebody asked me if I like to cuss. Literally, somebody said, "You're very Irish. Do you like to cuss?"
Yeah.
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 Yeah. What do you want me to say? No?
Well, I remember a time not too long ago when there was a certain politician who said that, ladies shouldn't cuss. And I don't know why he decided that was a thing he was going to say on Twitter, but it was. And to which, instantly, there were a slew of women who tweeted back at him, fuck no.
I don't, somebody, I love it how if you have one question to ask, not that I limited it to one question on this, but if you have one question to ask, why is that the question you want to ask?
Like the lady that wanted to know why I didn't have draperies in my room.
Yeah. Why don't you go to Walmart and buy drapes?
She said, my mother would tell you to go to Walmart and get you some drapes.
Wow.
Well, my mother would tell you to get more taste, but anyway.
You're right. It'd be a little nicer.
And I'm thinking, you could have asked me about a song or something, Why was it not who knows? It's like the lady with the feet,
It's the lady with the feet.
that you were talking about.
Nothing's like that.
That sounds
okay,
that's true.
Here's one you may need a second to marinate on. Okay. What is the one song you wish you had written? And in all fairness, somebody asked this question for another show, and we didn't get to it. But right. I love this question, and since it applies to you're all are musicians, I'm gonna ask you. Mm-hmm. I like this one.
Ooh.
Matt should go first.
Yeah, Matt, you're in the hot seat.
Well, for some reason, there's one song that's just like blinking in my mind because it's the song that has my favorite lyric. Although I consider myself a musician much more than a lyricist, but this song, because of its lyrics, is staring at me, and it's "Where Do You Start?"
Oh,
Oh,
Bergman. Yeah.
Every time I hear those lyrics, I choke up.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which books are yours and which are mine? Our lives are tangled like the branches of a vine.
Yeah.
Anyhow, yeah, that's my answer.
That's,
Mm.
I pity the fool
Wow.
has to follow that one.
I mean, really.
Yeah.
What do you all
Good
think?
answer.
Mine's Deep in a Dream.
Ooh,
Oh, gorgeous.
that's so sophisticated. Of course it is.
And the other one that I like, that's probably neck and neck, is Don't Like Goodbyes.
Oh.
Oh,
Harold Arlen and
yes.
what's his name? Author. I'm going senile here.
Truman Capote.
Yeah.
Truman
Yeah.
Capote.
Yeah.
Right.
If I had to change it,
Ooh.
or would I care? Let's see. If I could arrange it, or would I care to change it? Not me. Is the last line. You know,
I mean,
Yeah.
about the romance. But the song itself is so beautifully written
Yeah.
harmonically.
It's, wow. What? Oh, maybe You Are Too Beautiful. Patterson Park
Oh.
too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I find that just. I mean, I think part of it is the recording that Johnny Hartman and Coltrane. You know that.
Oh right.
Oh, yeah.
It just.
Yeah.
It's so that it's. I grew up kind of listening to the whole package, so I don't know
Yeah.
if it's the song itself, but there's something about that every moment, every time I hear it, every second of it, that just feels like everything, in each
Yeah.
second of the tune.
Yeah.
Every feeling, every emotion, joy and sadness and heartbreak and anger and love, and it just. I think
Yeah.
that would be.
Mm.
Yeah, man. Nice one.
Monica, you do it because I'm trying to think of the title.
Well, now, see, I have the song that I hadn't actually thought too much about this question, answering it myself. The song that pops into my mind is I Love People. I love the song People.
Mm,
And
nice.
yeah, I think that is more an emotional connection because I just grew up on Streisand, and that was my first musical that I saw in a movie setting, and I just fell in love with everything about Funny Girl. So I could probably think of other songs with a little more time, but that's the one that comes to my mind. It always makes me a little of a clump.
My favorite movie musical is On a Clear Day, so I feel
Oh.
you when it comes
Oh,
to Streisand. And
my name is
I am a
Melinda.
Belinda.
oh God, it's so good.
Oh.
It's so good.
Okay, that's going to help me with my favorite song.
Good.
It's not the one I was thinking of. The one I was thinking of, Billy used to do on his first album. I cannot think of, and I Googled, I put on my glasses and everything, and I can't find it. But there's a song in On a Clear Day called Love with All the Trimmings
Yeah.
that is so ravishing and it's huge and symphonic. Of course, in that, it certainly was. I love that lyric. That's a really gorgeous lyric and melody. And if I could think of that other damn song, I would be so happy. I also like Melissa Manchester is a great, great writer.
Yeah.
I love her. And
my God, yeah.
she wrote a song called Just You and I. That's a lyric that I can never get out of my head. I just think it's brilliant.
Was that a commercial hit? Is that the same one that
No,
I need to go back and listen to her recording of it?
No.
Or
there
find
was
the
a
recording.
different Just You and I
Okay.
that was kind of famous. But this starts out when your heroes go up in a puff. There's not enough to hang on to, and the ones you would count on to call, they all fall down all around you.
Wow.
Kills me. She did it for me at Cast Party once. I'll never forget it.
Wow.
Cast Party in LA or when she was in New York?
In LA.
Cool.
Yeah.
You were supposed to be in LA, or did you guys make it to LA, or did you have to change that? We had to cancel ours.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about Jim, but Natalie, you played at Vitello's as well, right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
were just there. That was my last concert before lockdown, actually.
Okay.
I was there
Okay.
March 8th.
Oh, okay. That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
when
we were to
we
go
were in New York.
We were to go 10 days later. I had my teeth bleached and everything,
Oh,
like you do for LA.
yeah.
Sure.
But yeah, that was canceled.
Okay. Yeah, ours was, as we're saying, postponed. We will be back, but
Absolutely.
okay. Do you guys have time for one more question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Sure.
I'm finding something for everyone. There's lots of individual questions here, but okay, this one's kind of okay. If you weren't entertainers, what profession would you be?
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah, what is it?
Well, I would either be a filmmaker, like a Hollywood filmmaker, or a doctor. I almost was going to be a doctor when I was in high school. That was my intention, even though I played piano back then.
Yeah.
But I tried to get into medical school. And I've always loved filmmaking. I think that's where the photography love has come from. But back when I was a teenager, the love was more movie making than actually photography.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I would be a filmmaking doctor.
Very good. You would film all your surgeries.
Exactly.
Film everything. Be
Amazing.
good. That'd be good. BG, what would you be doing right now? And by
Um,
the way, I'm glad that this didn't happen for any of you. You're exactly where you're supposed to be.
I was headed toward being a journalist. I got a scholarship to a school for journalism, and my grandmother was grieving about it because I'd been taking lessons since I was 5, and I was playing the piano all the time. And she said, if you will go to our state college, WKU, which is now a huge university, and major in music for a year. If you don't like it, I will send you anywhere you want to go, but give it a try first.
She pushed you into music. It's usually parents
I had
saying,
always been writing.
please be,
reading. I was the
be anything else.
editor of the annual. I was the editor of the paper, for the school. I loved poetry, and I was crazy about my English teachers. And so that's what I wanted to do. Now, when I think about being a journalist, like in this part of the century, it would scare the hell out of me. I don't know how they do what they do now.
It's got to be very
Besides,
depressing.
once I got to Western, I met Mike Longo, and I met a lot of guys coming back from the Korean War, and they had been, they came in on a GI Bill, and they were going to be band directors. They were horn players and things like that. And so we had a fairly large jazz band. We had some little trios and things. The first trio I played in, we formed it over Cokes in the rec room, and took a job on a Saturday night at the Bowling Green Country Club, and we all made $8 for 4 hours, and we got $2 an hour. But I've learned how to play with a rhythm section with those guys, because one of them, I was 16, they were 25, 26, and had been around the world,
Yeah,
So it
Smarty
was
Pants
my,
went to college at 16.
So did I.
Did you really? Oh, 2 Smarty Pants on this call, man.
my
Unbelievable.
grandfather kept me because my mother and grandmother worked full time, and he taught me to read before I went to school, so I skipped grade. That's how that happened. Everything else was just normal.
Wow.
I'm still looking forward to going to college. Any minute, any day now.
He's only 7.
I want to go to the school of Jim Caruso. I think you should start your own school.
Uh-huh. That'll be very popular.
Would be funny.
All right, so
Jim's answer. Jim, if you weren't what you are, what would you be?
yeah.
Mime, probably. It's hard for me to imagine because I feel like I get to do exactly what I want to do.
Yeah. Me too.
I mean, I would say maybe PR, publicity for talented people, which is kind of what I'm still doing. But I love being able to celebrate other people in different ways. So maybe I would want to be like a big PR mogul in Hollywood or something like that.
Mm-hmm. You'd be good at that. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, though.
Yeah, me too.
Yep.
Yeah. Natalie?
Well, I mean, I went to college at 16 and grad school at 19. So I have a master's in psych. So I I could spend a couple more years in college, I guess, and get my PhD and be a psychologist. That might be fun. That's what my mom was. And I do like thinking about, what makes people tick and how and so I could see myself doing that, or teacher, my family business is politics, so I could see that happening.
Yeah.
So
I would, I'd vote for you. Just tell me. You have my
But
vote.
we'd want you to keep singing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do both.
Yeah.
The singing
Definitely.
politician.
There you go.
We could use some of those right now, don't you think? Like, sing me a song, keep your mouth shut otherwise.
Yeah.
The ones that yell and scream all the time.
Don't speak. Don't speak.
Right.
Yeah.
What was
Just
that
say.
Woody Allen movie? Wasn't that where she always said, "Don't speak"?
Don't speak.
So let's go to Broadway. Yeah.
Rules over Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say this is why I love to hang out with musicians and singers and everybody, because we all have so many things that we can talk about together.
Yeah.
And it's really fun. It's really fun. I think musicians are the funniest people in the world.
Absolutely.
Everybody knows jokes because they hang out with comedians and jazz musicians. And some of the guys I used to work with had such routines. Like a trumpet player would be playing for a circus part of his time, and then when he came on the bandstand, he had these stories and stuff. It's just fun to be around musicians. I think almost all of my dear close friends are musicians or in some form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Best stories, best sense of humor, usually.
Great stories.
So, okay.
What about you, Monica?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, I think, I always thought maybe I would do a little acting or something, but I'm not sure I'm very good at it. So I don't know if I'd be very successful.
So many people.
Yeah. But,
No, she's being modest. She is has been a really good actor.
Well, my first commercial was a flea powder. All I had to do was scratch. They actually paid me just to sit and scratch. It was kind of a cool gig, actually. I'm like, wow, thanks.
I'm doing it right now. What do I get?
But I haven't done anything like that since I was a kid. So I would, anyway, I would like to do that. Or, I manage BG, and I haven't ever really thought about managing other people, but I think I do an okay job. So I could probably.
You do a great
job.
job.
You'd be great.
But hopefully I can just keep singing and managing BG and let that be that. Okay.
But when she manages me, she also manages my bass player and my drummer. And getting all four of us on the plane.
I wrangle them.
Cymbals and all that kind of stuff. She does the whole thing.
I bribe
RV,
them to
hotel,
show up.
Everything. All we have to do is get on the plane.
That's a big, huge,
she's a great manager.
hairy job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay. We all like each other, so it's not too bad.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a lot in common, so it's a good gig. But and I'd do anything in the world for BG, so that makes me happy to see her shine and do her thing. So
I'm going to do the
yeah, here we go. Where's the camera? There we go. There you go.
Oh.
Yay.
Okay. Well, all right. So you all are fantastic. Thank you for doing this today. It was so nice to talk to you. And
this was a blast.
But we would love for you guys to come back and do this again. Our hope is that we're out of quarantine and everyone can just get back to not having to be on these screens and we can see each other in person. But until then, we would love to have you all come back and keep us posted on the Radio Free Birdland. And speaking of, again, everybody, just our big thing is save our stages. We tell everyone no venues, no Beegie concerts. So make sure there's so many talented musicians out there. The screen is full of them, and venues like Birdland, we got to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep that venue open for another
That's true.
60, 70, 80, 100 years. So, we'll make sure all the information's in the description, and of course we'll plug it, and just we'll have all the contact information for Matt and Natalie and Jim, so you can connect with them on social media and all that stuff, and follow their careers individually, as well as everything they're doing with Birdland. And at this time, if everyone can grab, but we're doing a new series, a new little segment. It's called Model Your Mask, because if you get nothing else from these shows, it is that we believe everyone should wear a mask when they're in public. And I am not up for arguing that point. So there's no arguing. There's no argument. No. My nephew says rule number 2 in life is don't be a dick. So don't be a dick. Wear your mask. So everyone on this show is an advocate of masks. So everyone, just put your mask on. You gotta put your mask so everyone can see. See? Look at us.
I'm a true doctor. I've got a doctor's mask on.
Yes, you got the. We have a ton of those as well. Look at us. We look so cute. Look at us all.
We are the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
My came from Robert Clinton, the blues singer. He sent them to all his friends.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
He and his wife. They're made of
is
silk,
a really
and
cool
you
guy.
can wash them and use them over again.
Yeah. So we're very good. Everybody, see, all advocates here. And at home, wear your mask and stay safe. Be nice to yourself and to your neighbors and all that good stuff. And support live venues. Buy tickets to Birdland. Buy them for your friends. Yeah. And I have one question. For shows that already have happened, what's the protocol for past shows? So people who, like Natalie's show, will already have aired. So how can people access some of the previous shows? Each concert
stays on the website for 30 days after the premiere in an on-demand situation. So you go to Broadway World, you find it, you go to the website, you find it. Yeah. And it'll be there for sale. Okay. Good. For 30 days.
Actually, the list of events on Broadway World events page, the Birdland events are in one column, and on demand gets moved to another column. So if you're looking for one of the concerts that has already happened, you just have to look like 2 tabs over, and then the on demand are in. Yeah.
Thank you. That's very helpful. We'll try to make notes of that too.
Yeah. Okay. Just because if people are looking for the Birdland concerts and one that's already happened, thinking, oh no, where did it go? It's just moved over 2 tabs,
So for Matt's concert, you're going to go to the Birdland link, and for Natalie's, you're going to go to the on demand, just so everyone knows when this comes out. But we are so proud of you guys and all that you're doing and supporting everything you're doing to support our favorite venue in the world. So, you guys are the best. Thank you so much for doing this, and just thanks for being
both.
safe. Yeah.
Thank you both for caring.
You've been wonderful. Well, you're our family.
In Nashville.
Yes. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.